Good evening, Flosstube. It is Mandy coming to you with another update. Today is Saturday, November 28th, and this month has just completely flown by. Hope everyone has had a great weekend so far, and hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. Welcome to my channel about cross stitch. If you are new, thank you for checking me out, and hope you hit the subscribe button and stick around a little bit. And to returning viewers, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate your support, your subscribes, your likes, everything. So I got a little bit to show you today. I've got a finish, I've got a new start, I've got a couple of whips, I've got some surprise stitchy kindness. I couldn't believe it. And yeah, so we'll go ahead and dive right into it. So last week after my update, I realized that I had a piece that I could very quickly get finished if I actually just pick it back up again. Sure enough, it great timing because Stitches decided now was the time to sharpen her claws on her scratcher. Hopefully that wasn't too loud for you. Anyways, so after filming last week, I went ahead and picked up a project that was very close to a finish, and I'd say probably maybe 45 minutes, if that, I had a finish. And got some frayed edges here. I seem to don't do anything with my edges, but it is my Positivity Rules Sal. Oh, I just love this piece. I even ironed it for you today. So yeah, this is everything called for kit. I got the kit right from Caterpillar Cross Stitch. This was the Positivity Rules Sal, and if you haven't seen it, it was a mystery sal. It was released in 5 parts, and so we could tell pretty much from the start that it was going to be a house, and then beyond that it was released in little pieces. And I saw the new one that's just went on for pre-sale, made to be crafty or something like that. I'm kind of thinking I may have to get that, at least get the pattern. So I may wait to see the first part or something. I don't know. Not really coming out too well, but this is stitched on a very pale pink piece of pink Aida, 16 count. Like I said, I got the whole kit. So it is a very, very subtle pink, but there we go. I love this piece. It was so fun to stitch. The roof was a bear, but I got through it. Lots of personalizations on that roof, but that's okay. I love it. So I may have to see if I can find a little frame for that and actually get it put on my wall. So then the next new start. I have not yet seen anybody else stitching on this, but I did find out for sure that I can share it. So I am a Patreon of Michelle BendyStitchy, our very own and favorite. And so last Sunday she did her little live coffee stitch and chat, and she was starting to stitch on her model piece, and by the end of the chat session she decided to gift us Patreon members the new chart. I couldn't believe it. I was so surprised, and I love it. I just absolutely, as soon as I saw the design, I knew I'd have to stitch it. So it is, if you've seen her Snowbird, which I have stitched, this is kind of along the same lines as that. It is called Berry Bird. I don't have a picture of the full piece. All we got was the actual chart, so I can't share that. And so she was stitching it on a piece of pink material. I want to say that she was stitching hers on a piece of Weeks, and which I don't have, but I had a piece of color and cotton that ended up being, and she even commented, I shared it on Instagram, and she said it is the perfect material for it. And so it is a color and cotton. I want to say it was the June fabric of the month. There was no name to it, just June fabric of the month. And so the name of the piece is called Berry Bird, and I think she said it's a purple finch sitting on a raspberry bush. And so here's where we have. I just love this design so much. So I got the branch stitched out and started on the bird. And that is pretty true to color for that material. So maybe a little darker than what's showing, but it's so pretty. I love it. I've got it all nice and rolled up at the moment. So much bigger piece than what I'm actually going to need. So hopefully I can stitch something else on it, but just stitching right in the corner. And so I know there's going to be, I really hope I left enough room. There's going to be raspberries hanging down off of this branch. And so I just got to looking at that, and hopefully. So then it's going to be the really pretty bird, and then over off to the side it'll say berry bird. So yeah, so very appreciative of Michelle for sharing that. I had asked her once before if she was going to be stitching, sorry, squeaky chair, if she would be designing more of the birds, because I loved the snowbird so much, and she said she was, and then all of a sudden she came out with this one, so absolutely love it. And so we'll just go ahead and get into the rest of my whips. So I know last couple weeks I've talked about the Michigan challenge groups that challenge Michigan cross stitch group that has had some prompts. So this month or this week there was one that had fruits or vegetables, so I stitched the berry bird because it's gonna have berries. And then this one I stitched, not just because for that, but I made it fit into that. It was to stitch a pattern with people. And so I stitched on this. Funny story, so it's my mini stitching moon by Aimee Stewart, Heaven and Earth. I should have had this done before. I don't know that I'm going to be able to edit pictures so much anymore because my iPad doesn't seem to have enough space, particularly after I did the last update. It seems to run out every time I try to save a video with pictures. It just doesn't like it. So we'll go back to old school. So mini stitching moon. Heaven and Earth. Aimee Stewart. So this is the mini version. So funny story. We'll go ahead and show it to you now. I am working on page 10, I believe, and stitched on a piece of 16 count white Aida, 2 strands full cross. And so since you saw it last, I worked on filling in the leg. So this is her leg sitting down here, filled in a little bit of the moon. So I'm finishing this up for Full Coverage Fanatics. The National Parks Challenges, 4,000 stitches for a national park. So I'm close to finishing up that national park that I'm working on. So I'll be able to get that finished. So funny story about this. The other night I picked it up, I was stitching away. I ended up, before I realized what was going on, I got almost 200 stitches in. I was looking at the wrong color key. Yep. So started stitching things in. There's a line right here of pieces that's not stitched in just yet. Put some in, and it was this super bold pink. I want to say it was DMC 600, so it's a really bright pink. Something's not lining up here. Well, gotta trust the pattern, right? Trust the pattern. So got back to stitching in through here some more. Man, something's just not seeming right. And as I'm pulling colors, I'm also having to go to another project's floss box to get the pieces. And so then, you know, time or two of doing that, I went to the floss list that Heaven Earth gives in terms of how many stitches are needed for each color. Because there's some colors that if you only need 20 stitches, then if I've got the floss in another project, then I'm not gonna buy a whole nother skein, then I'll just pull it when I need it. So color only needed maybe 20 stitches or something, so okay, that makes sense why I wouldn't have a skein in the project box for this. But man, these colors just are not lining up right. Like, what is going on? Kept going back to the floss list. Yup, this is the right one. All I can say is that Pattern Keeper needs to come out for Apple. All I can be. So yeah, because I use 2 different apps when I'm stitching. I use the Books app for the actual highlighting. but I have a, I want to say it's a Goodreader open also, so that I can have the color key handy, and I'm not having to flip through a whole bunch of pages to get to the floss list, and then back to where I'm stitching at. So I'm sure I probably saw it in one Heaven and Earth post or something that somebody said that they use 2 different apps. Perfect. If you make sure you're looking at the correct one. So, moral of the story, make sure you're reading, make sure you're comprehending what you're looking at, make sure you're looking at the right floss list. So, yeah, this was, happened Thursday night, so, stitched like 180 stitches, wrong. Frogged them out, which means ripping them back out, and so then I restitched them. So, you know, there is something to be said about trust your pattern. But if you think that something's just not looking right, maybe do some digging, because it's possible. It is possible that it could be actually wrong. So I still was thinking that maybe I might have missed a couple of, you know, some stitches that are still in here that just weren't quite lining up. Like there was a pink that just wasn't quite settling right. But I had this sitting on the couch, and, you know, 3-foot rule. That's another thing. Look at things from a distance, because sometimes things really look right. And so I think as I'm filling in the legs here, that I think I'm actually going to be okay. Again, as long as I read that floss list correctly, that it's looking good. So I'm happy with the progress. And now that I'm actually going the right direction. So moral of the story, make sure you know what you're stitching. So that was fun. And yeah, so then the last whip that I have to show is Carolyn Manning Designs Shooting Star. I absolutely love the colors out of this piece. And I do have the full design here. Again, we're not editing. So that is, I'm loving these colors. These are my colors. And so I am stitching away on page 1 and 2 at the same time. So it's not that I'm feathering at all, like you see people talk about, but because there's such a pattern in these little blocks. I don't remember where the page break is at here, but because you know that, you know, like these little triangles, that if you've got 3 stitches on one page and you know the rest is on the other, might as well stitches. He's been such a pal. So if I knew that what the pattern is in terms of, you know, kind of a consecutive thing here, that you can kind of pick up on what that pattern is, I just went ahead, and a good bit of this is actually on that page 2, because like I said, why end a thread just because, you know, end of the page. So I went ahead and worked across into the next page, and I love these brilliant colors. So this is, I've got 2 rows to the end of this page. So again, I'll do the same thing, because I'm figuring out what the little pattern is to each of these little shapes, that I'll just go ahead down into, it's going to be page 4 underneath this, that I'll go ahead and start working into that as I'm getting through there. So easy to keep moving on. This project is so easy to work on once you get to knowing like these little diamond shapes, you know exactly how many wide they are and everything, and it's so easy to just get so much put in just a single session. So yeah, so this is Shooting Star from Carolyn Manning Designs. This is also on 16 count, 2 threads, full cross. So yeah, that seems to be my jam, I guess. I did actually place an order that I ended up getting some Monaco. So I have not shown that piece since video 1. Haven't worked on it at all this year. I don't have it handy at the moment, or else I'd show you, but it is a stained glass piece. It's a seasonal stained glass, so I've got 4 of them. Love the designs, but man, are the quarter stitches kicking my butt, to the point where I just don't want to work on it. So that's why, again, I showed it in my initial video back in, well, it was my whip parade that I did December of last year. Haven't touched the thing. I don't want to. because quarter stitches on Aida, while it's doable, I'm not liking the looks of what it's turning out to be. When I get the material, when I start, I'll show you what I'm talking about. But I did buy a piece of Monaco, so I can try to see if maybe that'll help me do some quarter stitches better. Not that I want to switch everything from Aida. I love Aida. I love how it looks, and I want to keep on doing Aida. But I also want to be able to stitch these pieces, and I'm hoping that maybe switching to some Monaco can maybe help that out. So, and I know Monaco's, you know, Priscilla and Chelsea, that's what they stitch on. And so, and it was from their advice that they talked about how, you know, when people ask about what's the easiest jump to go from Aida to something else, Monaco has been their suggestion. So we're going to give it a try. I figured I'm going to, when I get that material, I want to pull the pattern out and just start doing some little test stitches from that portion. First of all, I got to learn. I know there's a little bit of a difference stitching on even weave and things of that nature. So I got to figure out what in the world I'm doing on that. But we'll see. So future content. One thing I didn't show when it comes to the berry bird was the threads that she picked. Very pretty. There is going to be one more green. I've got that coming, DMC 988. I didn't have it in my stash, couldn't find it in another project anywhere. So that is going to be so pretty. So there we go. I had them sitting right here in front of me and forgot to show them. So then just a couple little more things to show you. Like I said, I got some haul. This week I got some stuff in the mail, and there was another package, and didn't quite place the name at first. It took me a second before I opened up the package who it was from. I'm not going to say the name. I didn't get permission. I didn't think to ask, and I don't want to say. But just, I got this cute little card. So about awesome, amazing. And inside was, it's the 2012 Just Cross Stitch Halloween issue. So just as a surprise, sharing their stash, I guess, and she was done with it or whatever. It looks brand new. I mean, it doesn't look like it's even really been flipped through a whole lot, but some super cute stuff in here. So I'm sure everyone's seen it. Like I said, it's 2012, but so sweet to pass that on. So this is the first time that I really got anything that, you know, you hear about people getting stitchy kindness, and that was the first time. So not sure the person watches my video, but if so, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I did message them and say thank you. So then I'm still debating whether I want to join Flossmas or not. I'm sure there are people who would say yes, do it. I just don't know that I'm gonna have anything more than a couple of minutes. I think I mentioned before that I did get the Black Needle Society. I got the smaller advent box of theirs, so I have days 13 through 24 to share. But then I also did order, here's number one of, this is from Forbidden Fiber Co. They've got a cross stitch box. It's their first one, and I know that Michelle Bendy did a pattern for this. So the way I understand it is that there's going to be basically the fabric and the floss to stitch a pattern. That the pattern is going to be released in segments, like every other day type of thing, and so that you basically have the chance to stitch that portion of the pattern before you open the next piece of the pattern. So I'm so excited to find out what it is. All I know is that Michelle mentioned on, she had posted about it on her Patreon, that it was super sampley. So I haven't stitched a sampler, so we'll see what this one turns out to be, but I'm very excited to stitch it. And especially when they actually, I forget now the person from Forbidden Fiber. I don't remember her name. I'm sorry. Sorry here. Leanne. She actually ended up getting an Aida option. I had asked if there was going to be one, and it ended up happening. And so, of course, I had to get it when they ended up offering it. So, so I'm going to be opening this on December 1st. And then all through December 24th. So I might end up doing some Flossmas videos. I don't know yet. So I guess that starts Tuesday as the first, so we'll find out from there if that's what I end up doing. So new plans. That it's obviously I'm going to end up starting that project, whatever that is going to be. I couple things that I wanted to mention. So I've mentioned the Full Coverage Fanatics group that is on Facebook. If you want to join the group, check it out. There's lots of great full coverage projects. They have all kinds of challenges. 2021, they have a whole calendar of the options there to check out. If you want to join the group, if you haven't already, please make sure that you answer all of the questions. They're not letting people in if you don't answer all of the questions, so it can't be that hard. I'm sure one of them was, you know, are you a cross stitcher? What's your favorite design? Something like that. So, so make sure you answer those questions. So back to plans. Sorry, I wanted to interject that there, but the Semi-Sane Stitcher group, another Facebook group, I think they're taking new members. I know it seems like I've been seeing some, you know, hey, thanks for the ad type of thing. So if you want to join that, check that out. There's all kinds of challenges there. I do know that they're wanting people to be active there. So if you're going to be to join it, then make sure you dive into the challenges. So they've got a December, it's called Whip Wranglers. So I ended up deciding on that. So basically you were to put a list of 20 whips together. I realized I don't have 20 whips. I'm really close. There's a couple pieces that I might end up UFOing. But otherwise I'm really close. So, but you were able to repeat those, you know, take your list. You had to have at least 5, and then you can repeat those. And then you need a 20 side die. So I just got an app, and so there's going to be a challenge with stitching on those different whips. So that's going to be my month of December. So yeah, I think that's about it. Don't have a whole lot else to share, I guess. So I hope everyone has a great stitchy week, and keep stitching, and be safe, and we'll see you guys again next week. Take care. Talk to you soon.